It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts, Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish. Well, hey everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we are serving up a full dish of this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. If you haven't already, make sure you like us and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, X, and Threads. And for the first time today, we introduced something called a small dish, where I sat down with the Martha Madison, who used to play Belle Brady, to talk about her stint on The Weakest Link and as the winner of The Weakest Link. So make sure you go to our Instagram and check that out. A small dish. Maybe more coming to
a ramekin, if you will.
You said a ramekin?
A ramekin. A mini
What's
dish.
a ramekin?
The small white dish you put like a pastry. You've seen it before. If we show you what it is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I usually just call that a dessert plate.
You'll see
Ramekin.
it.
We're not. We eat fancy things, but we don't know what they're called here.
Not at all. We might as well just be called Robichaux. Anywho, also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are watching us live and in living color, please make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification. That way you'll never miss when we're going live or when we upload a brand new video for you. And if you can't watch us live and you need to take us on the go, check out our Dishin Days podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, or wherever podcasts can be found. Well, the next one ain't no more because that store is closed. We are no longer doing merchandise at the moment, but we might reintroduce the store at some point in time. But
just like the 99-cent store, we are
closed
for business.
Yeah.
That hurts my heart. It does.
Apparently everybody and their mama went to the 99-cent store to get deals and stuff.
We go there regularly to buy like cleaning supplies and stuff. So
did you go get your cleaning supplies?
No, because I didn't want to. I'm not dealing with the bargain hunter. The bargain hunter shoppers, I can't.
That's on a whole different level.
I mean, I can do it, but I need the time.
Right.
I love the bargain hunting at the 99-cent store. Like what they took a quarter off. Like it's okay. It's already,
all of the best
yeah.
Listen, times are hard. We need that 25 cents. That's another 30 minutes of drying at the laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
This is telling it from the perspective of a woman who buys her liquor in places where she can get a rebate. Yes, I count cents.
You know, there are some things you should just keep to yourself. Buying liquor with a rebate, probably one of them. Well, speaking of someone who probably buys their liquor on a rebate or who was around when liquor was first invented, our good friend James Lott Jr., our former co-host and my chocolate twin, is serving up a couple of dishes of his own on his own YouTube channel and digital network JLJ Media, where he dishes on General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, and Young and the Restless, and also creating his own audio dramas. So make sure you head on over to JLJ Media on YouTube or check him out where all podcasts can be found, because James is as old as dirt. Kept it simple this time. Run and tell him that. And coming up later on in the show, we will be joined by ex-Tate Black, Mr. Jamie Martin Mann, who will discuss his time on the show and what the future is looking like. I feel like the future is looking like Broadway, just by what I was able to research. Very talented man. Can you imagine if they allowed, like, you know, because sometimes they allow the actors to use, like, you know, their talents on the show. Can you imagine if Tate was like a musical theater lover and we saw that on Days? Could have been something.
Yeah.
Joined with Eric Martsolf, who also is a lover of musicals and comes from that era too.
Mhm.
I mean, I think the always the big hang up with people that they don't want to do it is budget constraints. And so like a lot of people used to like they back in the day, you know, in the heyday of soaps, you used to have more music, more, you know, sometimes big events and things like that. But there's so many talented people on the cast that it's like they could do their own songs. Like these are anybody who's ever worked in theater knows how to like switch things up by the skin of their teeth. So it's like we could get it done. And that's not the question. I think we could get it done.
Yeah. Oh, make sure you don't cover your mic, Araceli, because then we can't hear you.
Sorry, guys.
There you are. And shout out to the moms who are in the chat room. Not only do we have Jamie's real mother, Miss Jill Johnson Mann, here chatting along with us, but we also have the lovable, beautiful, my mother, Mama Moore. Found her way back into the chat.
First in the chat today.
She was
She
first.
was.
She was. I looked over and I was like, well, there she is. All right, y'all. Let's get to it. What did we think about this week's episodes of Days?
I thought it was a pretty, I thought it was a solid week. Very good week.
It went like this. Yep. It was a roller coaster in that sense, in that it was just like one.
Yeah,
Start off
Justin?
strong, dipped, and then came right back up again.
Justin, what'd you think?
Yeah, I said it was a good week. A certain particular storyline I think sort of carried it throughout the week, which I'm sure we'll get into soon. But yeah, and then even other storylines I wasn't like crazy about. I at least liked the interaction that we had between the characters. So
yeah, I thought it was a pretty good week. Definitely glad that one storyline has picked up the pace a little bit and moved forward. I do have to let you know, our former co-host Mark J. Freeman still watches the show. I think he is more up to date, and his thought
And
was
likes absolutely nothing that's going on
nothing.
anytime. Well, at least
Especially-
that's the only we only hear about what he doesn't like.
Well,
And
he's
if
still
he had
with
it, if he had it his way, it would be Days of Our Lives of 1987 in 2024.
Well, I think
Is
most
what
people want that. But he did
Good
send a
luck.
text early today. He said, watching Days, and literally said out loud, ugh, this is painful. So that's what he thought of the week.
Like, girl, don't watch. Damn. Watch something else.
Listen, I always say this. If we can get through the White Elephant storyline with the Blood Diamonds, we can literally get through anything. And speaking of getting through anything, let's get through this show. And let's talk about this week. It is now time to start
Dishin Days.
Dishin Days. We really should make that a soundbite. Just
We need
press
that.
play. Yeah, we do. All right, so we're going to kick things off with our first storyline, which is Holly spills the beans. Finally. Well, not spilled those beans, but we also said goodbye to Jamie Martin Mann as Tate, and hello to Leo Howard as Tate. But more of that in a second. How do we feel about Holly finally confessing that les drugs were les hers?
I loved how it came out. Finally. Like, I feel like there was some big payoff. I feel like everybody's reactions were what they should have been. And I felt like we got some real highlights this week. Even before Tate knew that it was happening, the scenes with him and Emily on, I think it was Monday's episode, were very those scenes before they found out were just very, very just organic between them. And then the scenes between Holly and Nicole, Ari and Ashley, I thought those were like highlights of the week too. Just like really, really authentic scenes, really authentic parent-child dynamics going on.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, first of all, finally she confessed. But as it kept going, I was like, man, Holly is a brat. Like she is. I would like to know, and the moms in the chat, please chime in on this. If your child took drugs, overdosed, almost died, ended up in a coma, had to be transferred to Italy, back to Italy, all while still in a coma so that she could get better, comes out of said coma, keeps this huge secret to herself, which almost destroys a young man's life, and then has the nerve, audacity, and gall to have an attitude that the punishment is starting with being grounded and her phone. And she's also kind of kicking and screaming and yelling throughout this whole thing. How would you, as a parent, react to this? We'll start with us, and then I want people, moms in the chat rooms, even if you're not a mom, you're a parent, whatever, everyone chime in. Michael Mattis, how would you have
Oh, Lord.
reacted?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, honestly, I'd probably roll over and be like, okay, you can have your phone back. Don't yell at me.
Araceli,
That kid would walk all over me.
Who works with kids, like, and around kids all the time. How would you have handled this?
The teenage years are hell. From 13 on, and I warned every mother who came across my path that the minute they hit 13 in particular, they just turn and become a terrible human being. And I have to say, it's just the hormones. I tell them, you just got to buckle up and hold on, because it doesn't mean your child is a bad person, is going to grow up to be a bad person. But from this span to this span, they're just going to be terrible. They will have spurts of goodness, but they're just terrible from this point to this point. And so I think, honestly, Nicole handled it the best way possible. There's
Now the question was, how would you handle it?
I probably would have handled it given what I know. I probably would have handled it the way Nicole did, because there's no perfect way out of this.
Okay, Justin.
There would have probably been a lot of yelling to start with, and then I probably would have just sent her to her room to cool off, for both of us to cool off, or at least for me to cool off, and then yeah, we would have had to continue this conversation at a later date.
I think at some point I would have started off trying to handle this like Nicole did.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have ended up as Claire Huxtable when Vanessa went to Baltimore to have big fun with the
wretched.
I think I would have reached that level before I reached a Mama Moore level of where's my belt?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I actually have it. I can't believe you mentioned that scene. I have that scene saved in my YouTube pages, seriously, because I was like, this is a life lesson right here.
It's like, for me watching it, I was like, I appreciate the fact that Nicole understood that, yes, Holly has been through a lot. And, I actually said, kudos to you, Holly. Like, you should have came up with this weeks ago. And her saying, I was looking out for you because you had been through so much. I was like, that's good too, Holly. But at some
okay, just on that note, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. On that note, do you believe that was actually part of her intention? That she really was concerned that Nicole wouldn't be able to handle the truth? I understand that part of it was like protecting herself, but I do think she meant that as well. That
I do too. I believe that she didn't want to put more on Nicole and being like, you know, you lost a baby and now you got one that's like messing up, right? But as she went on and on, I started being like, okay, Nicole, this rubbing of the back, gentle parenting is not working. And when she almost slapped Holly, I was like, oh, she didn't do it. And there was a part of me that was like, that is the easy solution, to be like, snap out of it. But I think that what it showed was that Nicole has a lot of compassion. She has a lot of understanding. She has a lot of empathy. And as a parent in this moment, she has no idea what to do with Holly. The fact that Holly is on drugs, the fact that Holly is drinking, and now she's admitted to drinking not once but twice. Like, now there's a serious issue. And as a parent, I think she was just sitting there like, I don't know what to do, you know, and I have to make sure I'm thinking clearly in order to protect my daughter and do what I need, what I think is right, you know. But the way Holly was receiving it, I was like, do you really think for nearly dying that your simple punishment is just, oh, I'm alive now, so I get to go off and be happy? No, there has to be something. And that's minimal. Getting your phone taken away and being grounded, that's minimal. That's what people get when they sneak out of the house. That's what people get when they steal from the local a bar of candy from the local store. That's small. That's a small punishment.
Well, here's the thing. I think maybe 10, maybe even 5 years ago, that would have been a small punishment. These days, if you don't have your phone, it's like the world falls apart around you, especially if you're a teenager who grew up with technology. Forget this generation. We didn't grow up with technology in that way. We have had it as adults. This generation has had it their whole, like, since babies. Like, babies know how to work cell phones.
Well, it's the equivalent of TV and video games when we were growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Nintendo.
Yes,
Yeah.
but then there's the added unfortunate caveat, and Holly did bring this up, that phones, a lot of parents give kids the phones younger now because it's a safety issue, and they think, oh, it's not going to be, it becomes such a double-edged sword and such an issue, because you can take the phone away as a punishment and the kids will say, oh, you're ruining my life, you're destroying my life. And then unfortunately, sometimes something else will happen and the kids won't have their phones, and then they can turn it around and say, oh, see, you took my phone away now. It's because
okay, the solution then is taking away the smartphone and giving them like a flip phone that does nothing.
A T9 phone.
and like
yep.
That's the solution then. They still have a phone or some kind of communication device. They just don't have a full-fledged iPhone, which you can still get flip phones nowadays. I'm sure. A Demira absolutely could.
I got
phones all over the house.
I'm gonna switch out your smartphone for a basic phone.
I gotta say, I loved having Nicole back. I think the last few weeks we've been talking about, like, she hasn't seemed like herself in terms of like taking control and like or relinquishing control to EJ. So I'm glad we got like the sort of forward thinking Nicole we got and forceful one we got. I will say though, I actually don't think she was all that great. The parenting was all that great. I'm against Holly in terms of the attitude and what she said and the way she said it. That was wrong. I do 100% think Holly had a point. I think Nicole is still operating under how she was operating with the Tate stuff. She's going off of instinct, and they're not allowing Holly to really sit down and have a conversation. And we said this before about the jumping to conclusions. Holly says this, so I think this. And it's like, sit down with the girl, have an honest, actual conversation with her. And I think you would have gotten more from that. Nicole was coming from this, I'm ready to give you a punishment. It's like, just give her the punishment. And furthermore, the punishment should not be for the OD. That's not a punishment.
No.
You don't punish someone for having an overdose. The punishment is maybe the experimentation of drugs, if you want to go there. Although I'm a little iffy about that one too. But I think I don't know, I wouldn't say she handled it so greatly. I think the response to like the disrespect and Holly being a brat made sense to me. And I thought that was great. But overall, she's still floundering with this situation as a parent, I think. Even though I liked seeing her this week and liked her position. Yeah.
But the thing is that the reason I love it so much is because that's exactly on point. That's what parenting is that, you raise this kid and you think you know your kid, and all of a sudden, something comes up, and it's not that you don't know your kid, it's that you don't know what to do because you've never been in this situation before, and nothing prepares you. Nothing prepares you for parenthood. Period.
You don't want to make a rash decision because listen, she could have been mommy dearest and like sent off to boarding school or an all-girls school or military school and then messed up there and then had to be in a car ride where your mother says, I should have known you would know where to find the boys and the booze. I also just wanted to say that. But I don't know. Like I mean, I just couldn't get over the selfishness of Holly and the brattiness of Holly. Like you OD'd, you almost died, you were in a coma. Like everything that you do, you can't be like, but I was in a coma. Like no, ma'am. Like you above anyone should have more of an appreciation of life. The fact that because weren't they reporting that kids were dying from these drugs?
Mm-hmm.
Like you were one of the few that made it out. So let's be a little more appreciative.
She's a teenager.
I do want to ask you guys, do you think that Tate should have forgiven Holly so quickly, or should Tate forgive Holly at all?
I don't think I would have, but that's up to him.
It's not for me, but if you like it, I love it.
Not really my vibe, but he too is still a teenager, and I think he has love blinders on.
Yeah.
And it was a little quick to forgive, but maybe that will resonate later on, Well, maybe he could be forcing himself to get over it because he wants, he has the hots for Holly. But maybe it'll come out later or something like that. Was a little quick.
I feel like that's an unfair question because we're trying to rationalize the behavior of irrational people. Teenagers, by their very definition, have no rationale. They have underdeveloped brains. They're stupid.
No, because let me tell you, as a teen, I still don't like this girl to this day. This girl in high school, who was my best friend at the time, made a comment about me, and our other best friend heard about it, and I drove each of them home that day. But I noticed my friend was very quiet, and when I dropped the other girl off, she told me what was said, and to this day, I never spoke to that girl.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because she said something as my best friend. She said something behind my back. Tate went to jail, went to a halfway house after protecting Holly. Like,
for me, it's too soon. Or at least there should be like a little bit more nuance. He was sort of like, everything's forgiven, everything's fine. Like, let's make out or something. Like it was
clean slate.
Way too soon. Yeah, it was way too soon.
He's infatuated.
I need my space. You now have cooties again.
But he's infatuated. You literally can't tell a teenager anything. You can. They don't listen.
But I just feel like
clearly they don't listen. They didn't listen. They're supposed to stay away from each other. As soon as they get 2 seconds alone, they're like sneaking off. And if you're gonna, and as the chat room is saying, if you're gonna sneak off, don't do it at your dad's house.
I mean,
sneak away.
I mean, where are they gonna go? Horton Town Square? That's where everybody end up at.
Well, not for
Go to
nothing,
that
but their
random
parents,
Yeah.
their parents
Mhm.
haven't listened. Their parents don't listen either. That's why this situation was exacerbated. So, I mean,
you got a point.
yeah.
You got a point.
Yeah.
I just feel like since the beginning we've been looking at Tate like, Tate, stop saving her. Stop, like, even with the shenanigans with trying to break Johnny and Chanel up, like, he was disregarded then and keeps being disregarded, yet he still helps her out. Oh, here, I got you another phone. Oh, thank you, Tate. No, you don't get nothing from me. Nothing.
I stand by my statement. All teenagers are stupid. It just manifests in different ways.
We also need to remember that Tate's grandfather is John Black, who has historically been pretty dumb when it came to women.
Well, he hasn't been
and
himself
Brady,
always.
his dad. I'm sorry.
John hasn't been himself always.
Yeah. No. Tate takes after.
John's never himself. We still don't know who
John has never been himself.
That's a different conversation. No,
Never
Tate
know
is
who
like
John
his
Black is.
daddy. Tate
Well,
is like his daddy, which
yeah,
Brady was so on point. And like he's such a mixture of his parents.
Yeah.
He truly is. He's too good, like Brady, and he doesn't have the sense that God gave pace, like Teresa.
Oh Lord. Well, I mean, when y'all put it that way, I guess it explains why he's doing what he's doing.
He's his daddy's boy. That's and Brady said it. He said it.
I tell y'all who. Speaking of, I tell you who really wanted to go off on Holly was Brady, and I think he restrained himself a lot.
I think he was appropriate in those scenes. He didn't get overly like raged out. But he did. I think what he said was, needed to be said to get that off of his chest or whatever, and was appropriate.
Didn't
cross any lines.
I didn't like how EJ kept trying to pin it on Tate and not Holly.
Well, EJ's an asshole. We know that. Like that's very EJ, and yeah, it was so annoying that he just stood there. And basically, even after all was said and done, he was just
how do we know you're telling the truth now? This is your stepdaughter. This ain't your daughter. Like,
and yet, I feel like this is exactly how EJ would talk to his own daughter.
Well, isn't Sydney his?
Yes, if Sydney were here, this is exactly the way that he would handle this situation with Sydney, which is where I will push back on Holly's statement a little bit that EJ doesn't care about her. EJ cares about her.
Does he, or does he care about getting who he thinks should be gotten?
I think it was, from how he was in the hospital, he cares about her. He cares about Nicole. He just handles things the way he handles things, which is 99% of the time not smart, to be impulsive and not listen. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't care.
Okay.
Teenagers are stupid, guys. I have nothing to add to that. Just, like you just have to hold on for dear life. Now, if I were to advise the parents in this situation, I would say, guys, these are two people who you are telling that they cannot be in a relationship. They have to stay away from each other. He's literally throwing pebbles at her window. Remember, do we all forget what happened to Romeo and Juliet?
Sometimes
they think that's how they think they are. That's the world that they're living in right now.
I would love to live in your mind to see how these dots are often connected. Because just when I think you're going to take us one way, you jolt us somewhere else.
I'm just saying, the moral of Romeo and Juliet is not that it's some great, huge, tragic love story. The moral of the story is that they were teenagers and they were stupid and the parents didn't listen. The end.
Well,
and did you hear about Romeo and Juliet?
Dead. Or if you watch the musical and Juliet, did they die? Anywho, before we get out of this storyline, we had to bid adieu to Jamie Martin Mann as Tate, which I was actually very happy that he was able to kind of wrap up this storyline before he left. Because he has been doing such an incredible job, and we get to tell him that to his face later on when he comes on and find out about his experience. But we said adios to him and hello to Leo Howard, who took over the role. I feel like, okay, well, before I say how I felt, how did y'all feel?
I'm okay with them and the gray sweatpants. I was okay with it.
Everybody just take a breath, okay? It's day one, okay?
I mean, we know that, but I'm just saying, like, first of all, like when he came out, like, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, hey, Tate," like, I feel like there are moments where we go, or there are moments where it's just like, okay, just like we had to do with Jason, who replaced Greg Vaughn, and Natasha, who plays Sloane. Like, but now this is like more of a permanent thing. What was the initial reaction?
For me, good actor. A little jarring, I will have to say, in Leo. For those wondering, he has addressed the obvious elephant in the room. He is older than Jamie.
But it's not.
He's addressed it.
And it's not uncommon for an older actor to play a teenager.
Do you want to know the age differences of some of our favorite 80s couples? Woo.
So yeah, a little jarring, but he's a good actor. I think it's one of those things where you're like, oh, okay, how's this gonna work? And then I felt like the stuff with Ashley actually kind of worked. I was a little bit more worried about, just because she is closer to that age, and so there's always, we always wonder about chemistry and when someone comes in to fill in for someone, or not fill in, but takes over a role. And for me, it was just a minute of like, okay, how's this going to work? A little jarring, but okay, now we can get over it, kind of a thing.
I think what helped was that we knew that he was coming.
Yeah.
So that helped, but also, people saying like, "Oh, he looks so old." I was like,
to me, he doesn't. He doesn't. Like,
and
it's not like he looks like he's 35.
He looks like he has range.
But he looks like, to me, like, we've seen some 18-year-olds, and I know I've been like, how old are you and what is in this water? Because you look like a full-grown man who should be on his way to a job with a briefcase and a cell phone. But he looks age appropriate, and if you look at him, I don't know. This is just me. He looks like a young Eric Martsolf in the face.
I can see it.
Like if you look back at Eric, like back in his Hershey Park days, like this was the hair, like, and so I was like, I see it again.
It's interesting because they had Jamie and Eric and Emily. You bought them as family.
Oh, they told me.
And then this guy too, to your point, like you buy just looks wise, appearance wise, you buy them as family. So Marnie, good job with her casting on both accounts. She got, it checked both the boxes. Like you believe they're family and they're really strong, charismatic actors. So good job.
Look, in Marnie we trust.
In Marnie we trust. Yeah. That was one of the best things that happened to Days, is her coming on for casting. She's knocked it out of the park several times.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Versus the previous person. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving right along, we have our next storyline, which is mama drama and divorce drama. Let's start with Bobberette.
Bobberette can go somewhere else and I won't miss him.
I think at this point I'm just tired of Jada being upset, him not wanting to admit that he was once Bobby Stein, and Stephanie being caught in the middle. And now they want to be like, you're not divorced. And then it's like a simple divorce. Oh, you signed as Everett. You need to sign as Bobby. Well, I don't want to do that. That would be forgery.
That'd be forgery. I'm like, okay, then
yeah.
we had to be reminded of how he, which I understand, like, but I didn't buy, like, the whole journalistic integrity thing when Chad was trying to cut the Stefan stuff from the, and I was like, that's such bullshit. You don't give two shits about cutting it, and you're all righteous. And it was the same thing with signing the divorce paper. That would be forgery. I'm like, oh yeah, because you're some epitome of righteousness. I was just like, get out of here, like, go somewhere else, do something else.
Yeah,
And then I
also,
feel like, go ahead, sorry.
No,
and just on another part of this, I feel like they're sprinkling Chad and Stephanie in a possible something else with them again because of all this Bobberette crap. And Jada has no reason to be mad at Stephanie.
No. Thank you, Jason. I think it's Jose. His damn fingerprints confirmed who he is. Sign it.
Yeah, that part made no sense. He was acting like it's still a mystery, or like what's the name? Bobby Stein is like a lookalike to him or something. It was like, no, you're like, I know you don't understand how you're Bobby Stein, but we know you are him. So just sign the paperwork. Like, what the kind of intent? Yeah, when he signed it Everett, I was like, okay, like, you're not an idiot. You know you can't sign it a different name. You know, yeah, it's not forgery if you are that person, even if you don't remember it. Just the same way you're.
And if you don't remember this woman and you don't want her to keep coming at you, sign it and get it over with. Like, why not?
Right.
I mean,
now, unless it was an effect of the hypnosis session, and he's now not in his right
that wasn't
mind
no effect. That wasn't no effect of no hypnosis session. He is just being an ass, and it does not want to. Okay, if Jada said that, hey, you're my ex Bobby Stein, he goes, I'm not Bobby Stein, I'm Everett Lynch. Jada then says, put your fingerprints on this. Bobby Stein. So now it is confirmed that you are Bobby Stein, which means you need to figure out the parts that you don't remember, because what you don't remember is that you were Bobby Stein. So to keep saying, oh, I don't remember you, ma'am. Oh, I don't remember. Of course you don't, because you have no memory of that. Duh. But what we do have confirmed is that you, Mr. Everett Lynch, are Robert Everett Stein, a.k.a. Bobby Stein, a.k.a. Everett Lynch, a.k.a. Bobberette.
There is an air of practicality that needs to be addressed at some point, or I'm really not going to want to stick with this storyline too much longer, which is that how has he been signing his credit card statements, his healthcare, his
you don't sign credit card receipts anymore, though.
No, but like on his credit card, which he's using to pay for his suite at the Salem Inn. What is Santa?
Probably Everett.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. No one looks at that. No one checks that anymore unless someone.
I'm saying no one else looks. I'm saying like you have to sign documentation to get a job. You have to go through background checks. You have to you have to have your legal name on your health insurance. I'm like, these are little practical things. I'm like, what name are you using? And if it's not Robert Stein, how are you getting away with that?
Well, first of all, you are asking Days of Our Lives to be.
So it's like you're being too rational with these
I understand that, but they brought it up by bringing up the legality of the divorce papers. Had they not brought it up, I wouldn't have brought it up. But they brought it up.
I'm with you on that. In order for him to have another identity, that had to come from somewhere. So I understand that part of it. Yeah, I think all of his stuff that he knows says Everett Lynch. The question is, where did that start? Because, like you said, there has to be a point where there's a break, or if he's a double identity, like, where did that start from? How did you obtain all
what did his mother do?
Can we talk about
who's his mother?
scene,
Yes.
I had some weird reactions to that. First of all, when he was describing the mother, I actually thought we were getting Nick, quite honestly. And I don't know if I'm not on that train, if I'm off that train.
I read something on Twitter. Someone else thought the same thing.
I thought it was Nick, and honestly, when he was talking about the mom, I thought it was Jessica, so that's why I thought it was Nick. And I was like, "Oh, is he describing Jessica?" And I was like, "Are they going to go there with that?" And so I'm not don't know if he wasn't describing Jessica. He mentioned a different a name other than Jessica's as the mom's, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sold. It's not Nick now because it was giving me Nick vibes.
Y'all, the way, first of all, Michael Mattis will react if it's Nick, the way that all of us are going to react if it's Nick. Like, I would be like, N-O, that spells no. We were on board with Blake Bears as a brand new character and not as Nick. And if y'all have the audacity, nerve, and the gall to bring this storyline around to reveal that he's actually Nick Fallon, I'm literally going to go.
If not, they're borrowing a lot because Jessica had DID. We know it runs in the Horton family. Abigail had it.
Yeah.
Jessica had it. Nick's mom had it. So I don't know. That's what made me think. I was like, oh, are they going there with that? Why are they bringing up the mom? We're sort of leaning toward dual identity here. Jessica had dual identity when she was on the show.
But also the other thing is that the fact that he saw himself going like this.
Yeah. Creepy.
I mean, we know that Blake Barris knows how to play creepy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The part that made us go, oh Lord, it's Nick. Because he started talking about a river.
Oh, yeah.
And being around some woman. And I was like, is that Kate or Gabby or Sammy?
Right.
Like, who is it? But I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Listen, I was very excited about the storyline. I just feel like it's at the moment because Everett won't admit that he's Bobby Stein, and Jada is mad that he won't admit that he's Bobby, and has put Stephanie in a position of, girl, you stupid.
Okay, all right. I have to defend Jada a little bit here because Jada's a very level-headed person, and people have been saying that she's being mean to Stephanie, that she has no right to be so pissed at her, that why isn't she just directing her anger at Barrett, whatever we're calling him. But there comes a point where you can only be pushed so far. And Jada is at that point. She's like, I'm done being gracious. I thought I was done with this. I had closed this chapter on my life. It was done. It was over. And now now it's come back around and you all are telling me how I'm supposed to feel about it. And that I totally get that. They're trying to tell her how to feel about a situation that they had no firsthand knowledge of, or at least Bob Barrett claims he has no firsthand knowledge of. And everybody's telling her how to feel about it. She's like, no, I have a right to be upset.
No, we're not telling her how to feel about
and in terms of Stephanie, okay, could she tone it down a bit? Yes, but she brought up some valid points. It's the 21st century. Who in this day and age doesn't look up their potential, who they're dating? Doesn't ask questions about how come I haven't met even just one friend of yours?
They're right there. First of all, he was going by Everett, not Bobby. So if she did any sort of search, she wasn't going to find Bobby.
But she wouldn't. But then Jada followed it up. Like, well, why didn't you? Like, you never asked why you didn't meet his friends or family. He told you he had family.
And maybe she did, but
you never met anybody.
Maybe Stephanie didn't. I mean, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've dated someone new. So it was almost 10 years ago. So times have changed. I get it. But like, I don't know if I went to those lengths whenever I started dating somebody. I don't think I went to those lengths to
but
look
there's
at their.
a difference between starting to date someone and the way that Stephanie talked about him, which when she initially talked about them as having a serious relationship, that he was going to propose to her, that she thought that they were in it for the long haul. If you're at that point in a relationship, you meet at least one friend.
Those are red flags, definitely 100%. I don't agree the way she's responding to Stephanie, but those points are 100% valid. My issue is that we're like forgetting the fact that they're friends, so that's where it's coming off. I think if she didn't know Stephanie, the attitude would make more sense, just to be like, oh, like, girl, you really didn't know, you didn't ask any of these questions, you didn't do any of these follow-ups. That wouldn't make sense. But since she's talking to someone who they claim they've been in and out of each other's life since they were young kids, like the anger to me doesn't make sense in that respect of it.
But also, Stephanie said at one point, I did ask about your mom. You seemed to get upset, or it felt weird. So she was like, I never revisited again. So she did. Obviously, those questions were there. I think the fact of the matter is, how we feel is Jada's feelings are valid towards however she wants to feel about Bob Rett. But she has to realize Stephanie had no idea at all about her and the marriage. Like nothing, not a clue, not a sketch, not a iota of anything. So in a way, they're kind of in the same boat, because even though they were with the same guy, they were essentially with two separate people. Jada and Bobby, Stephanie and Everett. So it should be more like, yes, let's figure this out together to figure out who Everett is and who Bobby is. But Jada can throw coffee every day for the next year into his face if she wants to, because apparently they had a very rough relationship towards the end. But the anger towards Stephanie, because Stephanie has a little more empathy towards the situation of realizing, like, okay, you were Bobby and you were Everett. I didn't know you don't remember. We need to get to you remembering, rather than just being mad about. And she feels bad also about being the other woman. She doesn't want to be the other woman. So there's a lot to.
She's like, she didn't ask for this.
I didn't sign up for this. Did not sign up for that at all.
No, Stephanie's done nothing wrong here. And Jada's gonna feel the way she's gonna feel. I would just say, just don't defend him to her. If you want to be gracious to him,
totally not. No, totally
if
not.
you're gracious to him and give him empathy on your own time, okay, that's your decision. But don't even bring it up with her.
Don't even talk about it with Jada.
No, don't
talk about the weather.
Just keep it separate. Just
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do want to bring up one thing that I actually saw, and I think it was either Tuesday, or it was one of those days where I was like, oh my God, I'm falling asleep. But I do want to commend Chad and how he's handling it. I think I hate when people bring up Chad's character in a way of, oh, he should just get over Abigail already, and then they put him in a scene with Stephanie and like, oh, he's back to leading her on. I'm like, no. This, for the first time, actually seems organic to me, because it feels like he's going through the motions of grief, which is highs and lows, and it's like he's allowed to be her friend. They didn't part on terrible terms. He's allowed to be her friend and be there for her, and he's allowed to grieve his wife.
Yeah. I mean, this probably should have been the beginning of Stephanie and Chad, and not before, because before he wasn't ready. She just felt like an Abigail replacement.
Yeah.
Now that more time has passed, it feels a little bit more like he can breathe a little bit, still love and grieve his wife, just the same as Abe still loves Lexi, even though she's passed, and won't forget her. But thank God for her miracle. It's the same way that Chad can be with Abigail and move on with Stephanie.
Yeah, and I must point out that Abe wasn't with anyone seriously for years after Lexi died, and
Right.
no one gave him any crap about it. But because Chad is a young man with young kids, he must start immediately get over his wife and provide a stable home for their children. It's like
No,
he's
it's
just
not.
trying to
It's
survive.
not. It's not getting over Abigail. It's how quick he dived into Stephanie.
Yeah. Well, that I think was. I
Too
honestly
soon.
think it was too soon, and I honestly think there was a lot of too many other people in his ear
It's too
about
soon.
that.
All right. Well, what's never too soon is to move on to our next topic, which is radioactive. Radioactive.
The show's been getting very technical as of late.
We've got the There Can Be Miracles When You Believe.
Why would you bring a beautiful song that I adore dearly into the silliness?
Well, when you will when you believe.
I believe that we need to stop talking about this.
Well, I think Paulina is still very amazed at the fact that the miracle of Lexi came down and not only gave her health, but also Abe's memory. So she shared that with Marlena just to make sure she wasn't crazy. And as soon as Paulina mentioned it, I'm like, you're talking to the woman who was possessed by the devil.
No, right. Of all people.
Asking her if she believes in miracles. I'm going to say, yeah.
Okay, I did think like, oh God, Marlene, you got to give the shrink response. Like, you can't just say yes or like she did the whole like, well, what do you think? It was like, oh, come on, like.
Did you learn that in shrink school?
Yeah, you was us like a year and a half ago. Like, you could say yes, I believe in miracles.
And I would have walked out. There can be miracles floating when you believe.
I did get a chuckle when she talked about the urn with Kate when she brought that back up.
Oh,
that did make me laugh.
But and the thing about it is, it's all true. Like Kate was trying to talk to her. I mean, she's, it's what she asked. Was not, it was. What's the word I'm looking for? Relevant.
Yeah. But
so,
I just like them together. I just like the scene. I like,
I like the scene too. But here's the thing: if I like the scene on its own, Paulina confiding in Marlena about Lexi, but we've already covered this 1, 2, 3, I don't know how many times with how many other characters. I agree with Debbie Bright.
This has
Paulina
not happened to her though.
Is a mischief girl. You've gotten a second lease on life. Go live it.
But she's still in awe about what happened, and the only people who really know what truly happened are her and Abe. And now she shared it with Marlena. You will when you believe.
I believe I am done talking about this.
Well, and then it looks like Johnny and Chanel is so busy. She's so busy with sweet. First of all, let me tell you, if somebody texts me talking about, hey, I got a big order for tomorrow, we can't do it. We need 24 hours notice. We cannot.
Yeah.
So she's a businesswoman. She's trying to keep the lights on.
Baby, I need that bag. Miss Colin came in, and Colin and Talia came in and messed up my business. So I got to make sure I do what I need to do in order to get it done. But it looks like they are going to take Sarah up on that offer to go over to the Hortontown cabin, which I think is great because it looks like they need some alone. They need some alone getaway time.
Yeah.
So
downtime.
And in true Days fashion, they were just like, you know what? I don't think this Paulina cancer storyline is going to work. Miracle, free of cancer, we're moving on.
I know.
Clean bill of health, we're out of here.
I still think that there's more to this cancer free. Like, I don't know. I think I don't know. Not buying it.
I did kept wondering why they made the iodine thing a plot point. They brought it up twice before. Once when the consultation with Sarah was a thing. She kept repeating it then, and then she brings it up with Mark. So I was like, oh, are we like continuing this? It just seemed a lot. It seemed like a big plot point for them to keep bringing it up. For it just, I don't know. It sounded like it would, if it was just a routine checkup or something like that, I wouldn't think that. But the fact that they brought it up in two different scenes, I was with you, Michael. Like, oh, are we continuing this somehow, or is there another way to do this?
I think they're just trying to be more technically accurate as of late, and that's fine. But again, these are things you need to bring up one time and then move on.
Yeah,
that's it. They're just reiterating it, and then they're gonna be like, all right, you know what they're doing now.
I'm just saying, what if they make the storyline that Paulina never actually had cancer, or that she made the whole thing up, or that like
I don't think they'll do that.
And then that's the reason she wanted to switch to Sarah, because Sarah was buying it or something. You know, like if this was some kind of like manipulation on Paulina's part, because that's what everyone's saying. Like she's a mischief girl. Like blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
I don't think they'll do that. I think it just will not be brought up again, like the time they tried to put Abe and Kayla together.
Oh.
It's it's just one of those things where it happened and then we'll never talk about it again.
Or Roman and Nicole.
Yeah,
Roman and Nicole.
We're never talking about it again.
Nope. All right. Well, speaking of things we do need to talk about again, let's reiterate before we go into our tidbits to please follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, X, and Threads. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're already here, so go ahead and hit subscribe, and also tell a friend. Or if you need to listen to us, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts can be found. And say hello to JLJ Media, James Ott Jr., our former co-host, and my chocolate twin is on YouTube and podcast stations with his own soap opera recaps for the other soap operas and his original audio dramas. So go over to JLJ Media on YouTube and on podcast stations. Moving swiftly through our tidbits, because we will be joined shortly by the one and only ex-Tate Black, Mr. Jamie Martin Mann, who I always have to remember that the Martin comes before the man, before I call him Jamie Man Martin. So in our tidbits, we are going to start with Xander stripes. First of all, the fact that you live in Salem and you have to solve your own cases. I feel like someone should have spotted that already.
Someone should have spotted it already, and Rafe's reaction was just so blasé about the whole. Yeah, good work. Here's your box back. I was just like, you're not even upset that you guys didn't catch this, or you guys aren't the ones to. He wasn't. He had like no reaction at all. He wasn't upset that someone else solved it. He wasn't happy that it got solved. He was just like, great work. There you go.
It was giving great.
Yes, it was like great and.
Yes.
And Xander wanting to keep the 50 grand that mysteriously.
Oh. Right. I mean, worth a shot, I guess.
I can't argue with it. They got bills to pay, especially since he's buying knockoffs at Big Gal's Payless or wherever he's shopping. I don't know.
Price down.
Price down.
He's
the 99-cent store of Salem.
He's very much a Maxinista.
Maxinista.
All right, let's move on to our next tidbit, which is eating out. Michael Maddox.
Didn't know there'd be mothers in the chat room.
We have Ava and Harris who have been in bed all day and who Ava also decided to give up the bistro because she can no longer deal with that. But I think the most interesting thing is just a show of hands. How many of you are tired of Wendy bringing up the near-death marriage proposal and vows?
A little bit.
I'm tired of it. I'm glad they at least gave her something to do, which is like this PTSD. I was like, okay, that's something that she's not. Her and Trip aren't sitting around talking about.
I like the way that it was brought up this week, and just in terms of the context of her larger problem, which is now her developing PTSD, which that's a story.
Yeah,
that's a story I can get behind. It makes sense given her experience. Everything they talked about in their conversation seemed, again, organic, on point. They kind of, they had a cute conversation about first loves, and you're like, and then it kind of dawned on them, yeah, like this is kind of where we should be. We're maybe not ready to get married, because if we don't know that stuff about each other, then we're not ready. So I think it played very well.
I just think where we are with Wendy and Trip is, you guys, we're near death. Talk about the proposal, yes, but let's get over that, and we can focus on giving Victoria Grace some amazing scenes dealing with PTSD, which makes sense to have that. So let's focus on that and not have her bring up when we were dying and you proposed. Did you really mean it? Beer, let's just focus on the beer rather than the. Anywho, and then poor Lucas, glad that Kate is bringing him a lot of books to keep him steady, because in a monastery, no internet, no nothing, just a nice robe to stay cozy in. Stay safe out there, Lucas.
Why can't he have a phone? I don't. Oh, because the monastery. Like I was like, okay. I was like, wait, why can't he have a phone? Okay.
Yeah.
They don't have Wi-Fi in those places.
I know. I mean, well,
what he should do? He should join the choir.
Sister act. Lucas Horton's sister version of
No,
sister.
he can be the organ player.
Alma.
I would have told him to learn how to cook. That's at least a skill that can carry over.
All right. Now that we are all full on that one, let's move on to Let's Get Platonic with Alex and Teresa. I feel like that's it with that storyline. All right.
I mean, are they for real?
I mean, all that they're moving back in together, right? Or he was trying to convince her. That's all I got from that.
I just got that she has no place to go. The Salem Inn's going to be too expensive. They started this out as platonic roommates. It can happen again. You need a place to stay. It's free. He's loaded. Go ahead.
And he and Kristen are pretending to be dating.
Be together. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I appreciate that Alex had a talk with Tate, I guess.
That was cute.
I guess.
That was a nice conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, he did genuinely care. So yeah. I'm glad that he's happy that he's out.
Yeah.
All right. And so last but not least, no, not a lot of words. She's late on rent. We know why. Leo has it.
Still, 5 months is a long time.
Well, I
think much is that? Okay. Also, studio apartment in Salem, USA, which is supposedly the Midwest, and she's supposedly an attorney. Like, is Leo really taking that much money that you can't afford the rent on?
I know. A
studio apartment in bumfuck Midwest, excuse me.
Yep.
I'm like, something doesn't like. Is
his
Leo
suits
really...
aren't cheap.
Huh?
His suits aren't cheap. They look cheap, but they're not cheap.
Even he goes to Ballistics and gets sale. He's shopping on sale. Like
a sale when you shop for one or two things. A sale when you have 2 bags of items full to the brim is no longer a sale.
They didn't look that big. They didn't look that big. They didn't look that full.
We don't know how much you spent.
Like it's just like I don't know. I'll go with it, but
I think this is the start. This is the start of the uncovering of the truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was this week's episodes of Days. And now we're going to go into our favorite part of the show, which are our segments. And we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's Official. 3 snaps of war. Okay, so this person gets my 3 snaps for being patient, empathetic, and not slapping the dog piss out of her daughter. That is Nicole Walker Demera, who is trying to figure things out. And instead of reacting in the way that I think most of us wanted her to react, she just calmly but firmly stood her ground. So for being patient, Ari Zucker, Nicole Walker Demera, you get Tony's official and a pat on the back. 3 snaps award.
Oh, snap!
All right.
Stunning.
And now we have Caption That.
All right, this week's Caption That photo comes courtesy of Xander and Sarah looking at a computer. And this week's caption, if I can bring it up, goes to Steve Ridge on Instagram with his caption, Denise Richards is only charging $7 for her OnlyFans.
Shout out to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Eric and Jane. Paul Telfer, as usual, when he's included in the caption that, posted his own caption that's, Sarah, I honestly have absolutely no idea why those websites are in my browser history. I must have been hacked. Angel emoji.
Oh, I love it when they participate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's always good. Always fun.
And that has been Caption That. And now it's time for
Those were the days.
All right, taking everyone back to April 3rd, 2014, when Sunny and Will wed. Just this, I remember just that wedding just being so sort of revolutionary, just because 2 gay men and the show's history with that, but just giving it the attention it deserved. We had Marlena officiating. We had that amazing performance by Peggy McKay, where she got up and talked about the two patrons who were a gay couple and their history with Salem and how that related to Will and Sunny. So just a nice trip down memory lane with Will and Sunny. April 3rd, 2014, when they got married.
New Tate looks like this guy.
Yeah.
Guy Wilson.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he does.
Strong resemblance there.
Yeah.
And
Those were the days.
And now it's time for It's a Gift.
This week's It's a Gift goes to the Queen of Shade, who has decided that Grace can take a vacation. She'll pass on it.
And that was It's a Gift. And now it's time for News and Gossip.
We're starting off with another casting return. We've been getting a few of them over the past few weeks. Last week we talked about Steven Chester is back as Steve Olsen, and now we have the amazing Gloria Loring, who's coming back as Liz Chandler. She had sort of her heyday in, I believe, she was on the show 80 to 86. She was involved with everyone from Tony to Don Craig to Neil Curtis. She's also she's the mother of Noelle, who is Sarah's sister. So may see that connection when she comes back. We're assuming this is all for, of course, the 60th anniversary / maybe a farewell to Doug Williams. We'll see if we get a little bit more. But yeah, Gloria Loring is back to filming. We'll see how long she sort of sticks around and what sort of storyline they'll give her coming back. So yeah, good news there.
Yeah, there was big news that came out this week, and it was courtesy of our very own Deidre Hall, who made an appearance this week on Alan Locker's The Locker Room. She talked about her day's journey that goes all the way back to 1976, spans over 5,000 episodes, and she was lovely enough to drop that little spoiler for us. So thank you, Deidre, for that, and check out her interview in The Locker Room right now on YouTube.
Yeah. more casting news. Our friend Nadia B. Orlin has joined a new film. This one called Murder Between Friends, opposite iconic Miss Joan Collins. Here she is in a picture with the cast. This is actually co-directed and produced by Jacob Young. A lot of people may know him from GH and Bold and Beautiful, among many other things. But he also did a previous film, for Fun, I believe, that starred actually Jason Cook, that you can go check out. But yeah, here Nadia has joined the cast, and so yeah, we'll keep you updated on when they have a release date for that. But yeah, she's been people have been tweeting about it. Joan Collins has been talking about it for a while now, so yeah, we'll keep you updated.
That looks like an exciting cast.
Yeah.
Next up, if you're interested in a little behind the scenes on the Days Peacock pages on your socials, recently we had a hot seat interview with Raven Bowens and Carson Boatman. They played a couples game of hot seat. Who do you think is a better dancer? Who's funnier? Who has better style? This is why they're friends in the real life. They know each other so well, and they know their characters. So check that out right now on the socials.
Yes. And next up, we have a live event with Rob Wilson and Greg Vaughn. I think we mentioned this one last week. They're appearing on 2 different places in Florida. April 13th, they'll be in Orlando, and then the following day, April 14th, in Tampa, Florida. So go check them out. All tickets and information, you can go to coastalentertainment.com.
Mm-hmm. And next up, we have the Hot Men of Days in Nashville. This comes courtesy of Star Image Entertainment. And you will be getting Eric Martzoff, Paul Telfer, Carson Boatman, Brandon Beamer, and Rob Wilson. This is going to be taking place September 28th to 29th, that weekend, next September. You got photo ops, Q&A, dinner with the actors, a dance party. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. I kind of wish I was going. You can get your event tickets at eventbrite.ca/Star Image Entertainment now. If you're in the state, just go.
And last but not least, some new news from our friend Teo Penglis. He has written a new book called Seducing Celebrities One Meal at a Time. If you follow Teo or know anything about him, he loves to cook and entertain and have people over and rich food and all those sorts of things. So this is sort of right up his alley. But yeah, you can actually appear at one of his book signings Wednesday, May 22nd at 7 p.m. This one's here in LA at the Grove, at the Barnes & Noble at the Grove. So yeah, if you are in town that time, come on down. I'm sure Teo will appreciate it. And it's a free event. So I think it's also going to be him either reading from the book or discussing the book or entertaining and things like that. So Teo he's definitely a master at that. So you can pick up some good tips. So yeah, go and join. Tickets and info, you can go to eventbrite.com.
Yay. And also just want to remind you guys that if you did not watch this week's episode of The Weakest Link, you can find it streaming on Peacock. It does feature the cast of Days of Our Lives. And Martha Madison and I talked about her appearance on our Instagram at Dishin Days. So make sure you go and check out that. And for your full Days of Our Lives fix, please make sure you are following at Days Peacock on Instagram. They are doing some amazing, amazing, amazing things with their social media now. So make sure you go and check that out.
Yeah,
Now,
did you see that caption this last week?
Oh, she's still bitter. Oh, she's so bitter.
But I didn't do it.
And I also participated. So
Of course you did. Of course you did.
All right.
So did
well,
I.
did you? Oh, well, you did, but you did it in a different kind of way. All right, you guys. Well, without further ado, we are now excited to welcome into our wonderful chat. You know him as, now we're going to call him the original Tate Black,
OG.
the OG. We now get to talk to him about his time on the show and what the future holds for him. Please help me welcome Jamie Martin Mann.
Yay!
Yay! Hi, Jamie.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. How are you? There's applause. Listen, welcome to the bells and whistles of this wacky show.
Do I get one of your backgrounds too? I feel left out.
Oh well, I would have to send it to you.
No, don't worry about it.
Jamie's like, wait a minute, I want a cool background too. Well, first of all, Jamie, we want to give you all the kudos for your time on Days. Like the second you graced us on the screen, we were like, man, this guy has it, and it was just a flawless entry into Days. So big round of applause and kudos to you on that, because we also know that soaps are not easy and they run like this. So to come in so smooth, like congratulations on
And
that.
the feedback is loud and immediate.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, truly, it was definitely a shift, but I think having Eric and Emily there was the most, it made it so much easier. They were just so comforting. They're such comforting presences, and they welcomed me with such warm, open arms, and so did everyone else on that set. It's the best. It's the most wonderful environment to be working in. It's just a lot of people who really care about each other, and that I think is the reason why the ship can move as smoothly as it does.
Yeah. What was that your first time auditioning for Days? Had you auditioned for Days before?
I had not. No, that was my first audition. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, look at you, one and done.
Yeah.
Well, I had callbacks for. That was the first role I auditioned for.
Yeah. No, a lot of times we always ask actors who are brand new to the show if they've ever auditioned before, and a lot of times we've gotten that people have auditioned before, and like different roles that they almost could have played before they came in on this one. So we always like to find out like who or if you ever auditioned before. Shout out to Days of Our Lives is actually in our chat. And Jamie, I don't know if you were aware or not, but your mom was in our chat as well.
My mom and I were calling earlier, and she's like, "I can't wait."
Nothing but to say about her boy.
Yes, nothing but good things.
And we kept it clean this week for that reason. Well, cleaner. Clean
it. Speaking of mom and family, were any family members or your mom like big fans of Days of Our Lives before you got on the show?
My mom was actually a General Hospital girl,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we might have pulled her to the Days of Our Lives side, maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. She's been very invested. We call on the phone, and she's like, "Nicole still hasn't, like all this." She's very in it.
Good.
Like, a lot of homework to do, but yeah, that's awesome. No.
Well, speaking of, she also says hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Jamie, let me ask you, since to reiterate kind of where Tony left off, we're big fans of yours. We think you completely carried this storyline. I think every week we came in and we were like we're rooting for Tate. Why is no one believing him? Like he's the only one making sense. He's being such an advocate for himself. I'm curious how much, and we know sometimes we get different answers from those questions when we ask the actors. How much of the storyline were you privy to? Did they tell you anything about it? Did they tell you where it may start and end, or where it was kind of going? Or
I don't think I knew anything.
Okay.
I don't think I knew anything. I think that, not really. And that's interesting that you asked that question, because I never thought to ask. I was kind of along for the ride, and I was like, "You guys do what you want to do. Like, I'll be there." But that is a really interesting question, and no, I didn't. I think I figured eventually he'd have to get out of that halfway house. So I didn't know if that was but I didn't know if I was gonna be there when that happened. So I'm glad I was.
Yeah. We said earlier that we were glad that you were able to kind of wrap up that storyline. Only because, you obviously started it, you put in a lot of work into it. So to be able to see it till the end, I think was great. Because if all of a sudden you got out of the halfway house and you look completely different, I would have been like, "Ooh, he had a time in that halfway house."
It changed him.
What happened in there?
What goes on in those habits? You come out a whole new person.
It's like a real brunette now. That's fascinating. Some night.
At least it wasn't mentioned. Like one of the things that it's a running joke here that sometimes when there's a recast, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek mentioned in the dialogue, like, oh, you look so like, and I just realized I was like, oh, they didn't do that this time. I hate those moments when they do that, when they acknowledge something that shouldn't be acknowledged.
I remember
No.
this time.
Well, I remember because the first scene I shot was when Emily switched from Gwen to Teresa, and she got a line that was like, "I'm Teresa Devereaux."
Yeah.
And I remember Emily being like, "All right, here we go."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
uh-oh,
No,
it's
normal
happening.
people are annoyed by them. Michael hates them with a passion.
I was
Yeah,
like, it's not something that should be
God, here we go.
acknowledged in the show. You know
It's
what I
a
mean?
soap opera. Tongue
Yeah.
in cheek is literally what we do here.
It's true.
No, to a point. Anyway,
Don't mind us. They're just.
I know. See, this is
You
what
gotta be
happens. Jamie, I'd like to know how much time did you have? You said you weren't privy to a lot of the storyline, that you were just along for the ride, but how much prep time between when you found out that you landed the role and you were on the set taping? Like, how much time did you have to prepare? Because we know how fast paced it is, and you're doing like, you know, I hear these actors say they did like 10 episodes in a day or something like that. And you're obviously young and maybe can handle it. Like, I wouldn't be able to handle it.
10
but how much prep time did you have going in?
I don't think I had a ton of time. I want to say I had around like a week and a half between like finding out I got it and being in Los Angeles. My mom honestly would probably remember better than I do.
Moms are good for that.
Let me know.
5 days, she says.
It's 5 days. Okay, so I was a liar. This is great that she's here because she can. But I remember I was at school, and funny story, my very good friend Bridget from childhood was planning to visit the weekend that I was leaving and had like bought the flights many months prior. So I told Bridget, I was like, hey, so we're going to be driving to, so we're going to be driving to, she's got specifics too. I'm not,
And you drove.
So we had to leave. Basically, we both left for Detroit, the Detroit airport at the same time on Sunday to go our separate ways. Because so it was a silly moment in time because I was packing up my life and Bridget was here, and it was a great final weekend. I got to kind of hang out with all my friends a little bit and celebrate, and then we were off. But yeah, prep. It wasn't a ton of prep time, if I'm being completely honest. But I also knew a lot of the scenes that I started with when I got on set that I was filming were scenes that I had done for my audition. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
What were your friends' reactions to you landing the role?
They were excited. We were all really excited. I actually randomly, I don't know if any of you know who Mark Coulson is. He was on Days of Our Lives for, I don't know how long ago, but he played the Angel Gabriel. He was.
Oh yeah.
He's my acting teacher at Michigan. And
So
it was
an interesting connection.
It was really full circle and fun. I mean, I have the best friends on earth, so they were all really supportive and excited for me.
Nice.
When he found out that you landed Days, did he give you any advice or tidbits for the genre?
Don't become possessed. Yeah.
I think he probably, I honestly can't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure he told me about just kind of the speed, and he provided me with some of his anecdotes from working on the set, and he was right. It's fast, but it's something that you get used to. I got used to it pretty quickly.
Yeah. When you got the role and probably had to do a bit of research to figure out like any backstory and everything about the show, how did you decide, like, as an actor, to create and embody like this character? Were there any thoughts of like how you wanted Tate to be? Did you get any notes on how Tate should be? Like, what did you do to really embody the character?
I think I centered in a lot on the context that they were bringing Tate back with. And that was a nice diving board jump off point to have kind of this setting off the fire alarms. It told me a lot about who he was. And from that seat, I could kind of play with different options. And Marnie Siata, who does the casting for the show, who is, oh my God, I love her. I'm obsessed with her.
We said earlier, and Marnie we trust.
Yes.
In Marnie we trust. She is the most wonderful. She was kind of the first contact. And I actually got to do a work session with her and Ashley Pazemis. And it was great because she kind of was giving us little tidbits and helping us kind of work together to find our characters, which was really awesome. In terms of kind of prep on my own, I knew that he was a little angsty, and I knew that he had gotten himself into trouble. And so I kind of went from there and tried to, embody that in the rest of the work. And a lot of his dialogue works for him. You know what I mean? He was pretty snarky when he first started out on the show. I kind of knew what I was doing there. My mother can
do you feel that because the storyline dealt with drugs and overdosing and really in the beginning teen love and crushes and things like that. Did you feel this was very relevant to like what kids are going through now? Like how did you feel the storyline was and the relevance of it?
I mean, absolutely. I actually think they did a really good job with the young love narrative because neither of the characters really know what they're doing. And Tate, it was nice being able to bring out some of the more endearing natures of Tate. And I think that through this love story that he has, he, learns a lot about selflessness. And like, that's kind of one of the ideals that I wasn't expecting of him, was how selfless he inevitably becomes. And that was really great to play. It made it definitely challenging, but it also made it, I think, more nuanced and interesting to those moments. And then with the overdosing storyline, I don't necessarily know if it's like relevant in terms of my lived experience. Like I definitely haven't dealt with that, but I didn't think that it was the most out there thing in the world. I mean, overdoses exist and kids make really stupid decisions. And I thought they did a really good job portraying that. And I thought the fact that like I was the one who found her and then kind of had to take the blame was a really interesting choice. And I think it boded really well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad that you've never had a personal experience like that. But you played it exceptionally well, especially since we for weeks have been talking, and we had a conversation with Eric Martov as well about this, about how it's just it feels different from us. We're all over 30 here, the four of us, anyways. So
the kids are doing harder drugs. Like we had Jesse Spano and Saved by the Bell on like speed.
That was us. That was different. So it was like, well, we had a lot of conversations about how how it's different today, and how how it should be played, how it would be played, and is this making an impact? And just from my perspective, I think you made an impact.
I mean, I will also say, like, we live in a world now that is so everything is so accessible. Like I have a younger sister and she sees everything, and their kids are just learning things at younger ages. I mean, you have shows like Euphoria and well, specifically Euphoria, that I think is absolutely, it's one of my favorite shows in the world, but show that to a kid who's too young, who can't comprehend, that show at surface is, kids having fun doing drugs. The secondary dialogue of the whole show is how those drugs are affecting their lives in such terrible ways. But if you're young, you're not picking up on that nuance. So it's interesting, I think, in the day and age that we live in, with apps like TikTok and like everything's accessible. And I thought that they did that storyline really well. It's true. Like, it's stuff can be really easily normalized, and that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jamie, let me ask you about working with Emily O'Brien. We just adore Emily here. She's so friggin' talented. But there was a sort of maybe like kind of similarity with you two here coming in. I mean, she's been on the show for years as Gwen, but she now is coming into where she's taking over for a character. You're both coming in as new iterations. How was that relationship working together? I mean, we talked to Emily about kind of the craziness of her taking over the Teresa role, but how was it with you?
I mean, I just love Emily. Working with Emily and Eric was so special, and the dynamic was there from the get. Emily's such an intelligent actress, and so I think that she's intelligent also because she's kind of a vulnerable actress in the sense that we were both very comfortable talking about that which we were more insecure about going in. And when we sat down to run lines and do scene work, I thought that level of vulnerability brought about that just comfortability and really like bringing ourselves to our roles. I mean, she had such a challenge because I think coming in, I feel like I was privileged enough to come in to a role that hadn't been seen yet at the age that he is. So I had more opportunity to, bring my aspects of myself to the role. And Emily not only was taking over, but like transferring from one character to another. And I thought she did it masterfully. She's just so present and she's so talented. And she's also just really fun on set, which makes it just makes the work better when you're able to kind of relax into it because everything's moving so fast and you want to do the best work that you can. So when the cameras are not rolling and your scene partner is there for you as a human being as well, that's just the best. That's the best.
Yeah.
You hit the on-screen parent jackpot.
Yeah.
You not only had two great actors, they're both musical and phenomenal singers.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Eric and I'm sad they don't have BTS, but I remember one time we were before a take like singing West Side Story.
Yeah, we had him on the show like a few weeks ago, and he mentioned how you guys would just be belting songs out in his dressing room to where somebody had to be like, "Can y'all keep it down?"
Sure. Yeah.
Was there anyone you said you formed a relationship with Eric and Emily right off the bat? And you also said that you may not have known like history of the show, or were you intimidated to work with anybody? Was there anyone where you saw you had a scene coming up with them and you were like, okay, now I really gotta bring my A game, or made you a little nervous, some butterflies? Or
I don't know. I mean, the one person that I think of is working with Deirdre Hall. And I think that, I don't know that I was I think I was a little nervous. But she's very stoic and she just owns the space that she's in. And it's really amazing to watch. Like, she's so comfortable on that set with those people. She knows everyone. And again, she was so warm and welcoming. I think she like immediately was like, let's take a selfie, like got my number. Very sweet. And then I think she told me to find my light during our scene.
Oh,
in between takes, she was
that's something that's like I've heard other actors say that's what she teaches them. Like, you find your light, and she's like the perfect person to do that for you. Perfect teacher.
Find your light. And she's so stoic. She's just very like she controls the space, and it's really inspiring to watch because she's very commanding. She's a commanding actress, and she but again, she was welcoming, she was warm. She taught me how to find my life, which is really important.
Can you talk about how you built your bond with Ashley? Because you both premiered basically around the same time, and you're Sorast characters coming in brand new, shiny new, and but immediately thrust into like, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the bond. It was like, whoa, what's going on? And trying to figure out the mechanisms of the ship as fast as possible. And I think the fact that we got to do it together was so lucky. And I just think we're really we were really lucky to have two storylines that converged in the way that they did, where it was two people of the same age and both new on the show. Because, you know, Ashley's the best. She's so kind and fun, and we just had such a good time working on scenes together. And we would like grab coffee after we were done with set, and we'd just talk about our day. And I think it was really comforting to have someone that was kind of in the same boat as you. And the fact that we were both finding our way together just made it, yeah, I think a lot more comfortable. It was a lot more comfortable, and it took some of the pressure off of myself.
It's like you had a friend that was on the same journey with you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
When you were doing the show, were you living here locally, or were you going back and forth to Michigan?
I started filming at the end of, I want to say beginning-ish of April.
Mhm.
And no, it was the beginning of April. And so I missed the end of school, and then I went back for my week of finals. So I was going back and forth. But while I was in LA, I was living with my voice teacher, Cynthia Gibb, who is, she was on Fame. I don't know if any of you know Fame.
Mm-hmm.
That name does sound familiar.
She's amazing. Yeah.
She's amazing. I have known her for years, and she was kind enough to let me bunk in with her, and it was a great experience. I love Los Angeles, so it was kind of nice to
Your
spend
mom says middle of April.
Yes.
It like was, I guess it was middle of it.
Mothers remember
Yes.
everything.
Yes, it's good.
Never forget it.
Did you have a favorite scene that you got and you were like, okay, I really get to dig my heels in this and really showcase what I have? Do you have that scene for you at all?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that obviously some of the stuff at the end, a lot of it was really intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a scene that like I remember doing and feeling. I think one scene that I remember filming and having a really, really good time with was all of the stuff during the Christmas episode. I just remember that being like a really fun experience because Emily and I hadn't done a scene with Emily and Eric in a really long time. And they're both so fun to work with on set, and Eric's really good at taking scenes off the page. So that whole sequence felt really lifted and spontaneous and alive. I think some of the more recent stuff in the like lobby of the
halfway house.
The halfway house.
house. Some of that was again intimidating, but felt good to do. And I had Emily and Eric to support me through some of those more difficult moments. Yeah. As an actor, you're always asking for more material to chew on, and then you get it, and you're like, "Oh no, I really right." Oh God, okay. But yeah, I think it went. I think that I felt pretty good about most of those sequences.
Yeah. I think you reacting during the New Year's Eve scene with the actual overdose and like finding Holly and just kind of being just stuck, like. I don't know what to do in this moment, but I know I also have to save her. But like everything was just like the way your reactions to that, I thought were very memorable too, because it's like, what do you do when you find someone that you truly care about in this state, but then also knowing that like she caused it and that she could get in trouble, and then how am I going to get out? But now they're like, they're thinking I did it, and so there was so much happening that I was like, oh man, like. I would have been like, y'all, hold on a second. Like, we need a minute so I can figure all this out. So kudos to you for those scenes, because those scenes were great as well.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
Jim, who on set has the fun dressing room to hang out with if you were able to? I know there might be
other than Eric, apparently.
Yes.
I was gonna say it's Eric's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just, he was so cool. He's got a lot of memorabilia in there. It's Carson Bowman always had his door open and was like playing guitar. So that was
cool.
There was a whole like, it was like Eric, Ari, Carson, Raven, Emily, Dan. Ooh. Dan also that whole hallway was just kind of fun. It was,
Yeah.
we'd all see each other outside and just gossip. And it was not that we had much to gossip about. We were just kind of
Well, it's just fun to chill downtime when you can.
Yeah. Was it tough for you to make the decision to leave the show and continue on with your studies? Because like, you know, it's that moment of like, as an actor, you're like, all right, like things are starting to roll like in the right direction, but you know, you're still, you know, in school and still doing that. Like, was it tough to just kind of sit down and go, I don't know if I can dedicate myself to this, and I'm gonna have to make a decision? What was that like for you?
It was really hard. I think there was a lot of weighing of pros and cons, and I had a lot of conversations with my parents. The tricky thing is that I'm in a very niche major. I'm a musical theater major at University of Michigan. And it's very cohort oriented. Like, you do a lot with your class. So if I were majoring in communications, I would have just been like, yeah, I'll put it on hold, take online classes, whatever. But when you're in a musical theater major, it's also like imperative that you're in the room learning. You have to, it's just so centered in being present. And that's why COVID made it really hard.
Yeah.
But yes, it was such a hard choice because, again, I loved the family that I had on set. We had such a good dynamic. The environment on the show is great. You're making money, which you can never complain about.
Right.
Really, it was the connections that I made on that show that made it so difficult to leave. And I also think that at the point that I was deciding when to leave is when I was starting to feel especially comfortable on set, coming on and doing my work and feeling fulfilled both as an actor and then watching it back and feeling fulfilled as well as a viewer. And I hate watching myself, so that's always a nice that's always a nice bonus when I get to go back, watch the scenes and be like, okay, I'm not mad about that. But yeah, I think there was a lot of weighing of pros and cons. I had a lot of conversations with my parents who were really great at just kind of they were both, I think, only gave their opinions when I was like, I really need your help. And they were very great about just kind of mentoring me through it. So was Eric, that kind of, you know, providing me with the facts so I could try to make the best decision for myself. And then I'd be like, Mom, just tell me what to do. Like, you love your friends at school. Like, I think that my, you know, both my parents got their college degrees. And I think that that's just, I knew that that was an ideal of mine. And I also knew that college can become a very easy thing to put on hold when you're working as an actor. So I think in the back of my mind, I knew that if I were to delay, I didn't know how long, like a year off can turn into 5 years off. And then at that point, you're 25 and you're like, it's weird to, I mean, not that it's weird. I wanted to graduate at the age of 22 with the rest of my friends, I think is what I wanted personally. But it was a tough, I mean, a really hard decision because again, I loved everyone on set. And
Jamie, those moments where you need one of your parents to just, when they don't go away.
I know, right? I know.
I got several years on you. There have been several times, but when my mom was still alive, where I just had to call her and be like, I don't know what to do. Just tell me. And she's like, Michael, you're 35. You can do this. You're like, no. Those moments are life forever. Yeah.
My family is all in education, so I would never have even asked because I knew what answer I would get.
And again, like I think they both feigned indifference until I was like, I need you to tell me what you want.
I mean, they probably knew that it's like you won't get these years back the way that you wanted them to be. Yes, you can go back, but it won't necessarily be the same. It won't be with the same group of people. And I can't speak for Marnie. I don't speak for Days of Our Lives. I can only speak as a viewer and hopefully on behalf of us here when I say that you did such an incredible job in the role of Tate. Marnie will keep your number. There will be people that you made an impact in your time in LA, and they'll keep your number and they'll keep you in mind.
Absolutely.
I remember talking to Marnie, and Marnie again. Oh my God, she's such a gem. When I was kind of making those final decisions, Marnie and I had a lot of calls where we were trying to figure out logistics, and then when it inevitably didn't work out, she was really nice and saying, like, we've loved working with you. And I think that, again, that's all I could ask for, is like to maintain or like create a better reputation for myself. And, you know, I just didn't want to, I was nervous about pissing someone off. Like there was an aspect of selfishness to, you know, deciding to go your own way. And I understood that. And I knew that was going to be a switch for everyone to have to, you know, work with someone new on set. But I think I also knew that if I tried to do school and the show at the same time, I would not be giving ample focus to the show itself. Yeah. And I think that's not fair. That's not fair to be half-assing in a room full of people that are giving it their all.
Yeah.
And who knows what the future holds? I mean, listen, there's a good portion of the cast of Days who are recast and have come back for other roles. I mean, so like who, you know, well, we may see you back as Tate, we may see you back in the future as someone else. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, just also know that your mom was pretty torn about it as well. she just mentioned it. She said she was pretty torn as well to be working as an actor as a gift, but Jamie's musical theater cohort at University of Michigan is a gift too. So, and then
much more elegant, succinct than I am.
Yeah.
And then my mom followed up with, "You did a great job."
I feel like this show has been a lot of talk about moms today. Can we give a round of a hand?
Big round of applause to the moms.
All the moms
early Mother's Day. Yeah,
great, doing very well. Soap people are tough. We can be a mean bunch when we want to be. So we don't say nice things out of the goodness of our hearts. We say them because it's true.
This is true. Jamie, before we take a couple of questions from the fans, because they have a few, I know that you are a triple threat actor, singer, and dancer. So a couple of quick questions for you. If you could ever backup dance for an artist, would you, and who would it be? I know mine.
He wants you to say Beyonce.
You don't have to say Beyonce.
I was going to say Beyonce.
Wait, we would be right next to each other because mine is Beyonce 100%.
Tony, we could be on the Act 2 tour. It's not a problem.
I'm here for it. Like Cowboy
Carter, we'll eat it up.
Tony already has a video up.
Oh yeah, I did my roommate bugged me for weeks. He was like, "Are you going to do a Texas Hold'em video?" I was like, "I'm not going to do a video. Like that's stupid." And then he was like, "You should do a video." I was like, "I'm not going to do a video." And then two of my other friends, their video went viral. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not doing a video now. And then I was like, all right, the album is coming out. So now I'll do a video. So I did a video and posted it on my Instagram. You can go check it out if you'd like. Yeah. But I'm all ready. Like I've been ready since her debut with Crazy in Love. Like I've been ready since then. Yep. You can probably ask Eric Martzoff how many times he's seen me at soap events do Single Ladies by Beyonce. It is, it has been 1,000,000,001 times. I feel like I've done it just as much as she has.
Honestly. You might even be better than her at this point.
I mean,
no, Lord, here we go.
Rewind.
It's okay. It's okay. Look, you're protected from a beehiver to another. Like it's good. We all swarm together.
We understand.
We get it. What's your favorite song to sing? Do you have a favorite like go-to song that you just absolutely love singing? Or you can't think of just one, you can give me your top 3.
Oh my God, that's really hard. Wait, I'm looking at my Spotify right now. I think I have one in mind. This is such a niche one, but I love shouting out. I've gotten very into this band named Couch recently. And one of their songs called Autumn is like my favorite song to belt around. I have a let's do one. I mean, one musical theater rep song because, of course.
Yeah.
Recently, I've been singing "Marry Me a Little" from Company. That's one. It's pretty niche though. Okay, and then I'll go Bills, Destiny's Child for sure.
Oh.
That'll
Listen,
get
I
me
mean,
up in the morning when I'm taking my shower.
Yeah. That's that old Destiny's Child. Speaking of musical theater, which musical would you want to be in, and which role would you want to be cast in?
Oh my god, I think the dream of all dreams is Fiyero and Wicked.
Oh,
I'm so excited to see Jonathan Bailey in that. I cannot wait.
yeah. I am like, ever since the trailer came out for it, I've been ready, and ever since they said that it's going to be in 2 parts, I was like, listen, if she doesn't go up in that air singing Defying Gravity in part 1, I am going to lose it.
Of course.
I mean, that's how I would assume they're gonna do it, but I'm scared.
I'm scared too. I'm scared they're going to wait and do it in Act 2, which I won't be able to wait for. But my vision is, in the movie, she goes up and she hits that, and they go Wicked, and then like it ends.
Done.
Yeah.
Well, that's how, when you see the live, that's how they do it. In
That's
the
how
live
they end
state.
Act
That's when
1.
intermission. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make sense that it part 1, part 2 kind of.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably how they'll separate it.
Yeah.
I just cannot wait. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. That's, oh wow.
That's
The theater people are very pumped.
Yeah. Oh, super pumped. I mean, I would love to be in the musical Wicked as Elphaba, but I don't know if that's possible for many reasons.
Hey, I think that if you really, really work on it, you're good. I believe in you.
Thank you, Jamie.
The hardest threat
appreciate
in musical theater.
Tony, remember what we were saying? There
What?
can be miracles.
There can be miracles when you
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
Just
Yes.
believe. You
I mean,
will if you believe.
If you believe, listen, and if miracles could happen, I would not only be Elphaba in Wicked, but I would also be Effie in Act 1 of Dreamgirls and switch over to Dina in Act 2 of Dreamgirls. And then I will also play Elle Woods in Legally Blonde the musical. But I'm just saying, that's just me.
I think that ambition is important, and you have it. You're ready. I think you're ready.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's take some questions from the fans, and then we'll let you go be a studious student and do books and all. I don't know what people do in college anymore. It's been a while for me.
In Michigan, what's the what? Is Michigan? Are you guys still in like winter, or have you gone into spring yet?
It's 51 degrees. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
It's been kind of back and forth over here. I'm not gonna lie. But it's going to be really warm. Oh my God, it's going to be 69 degrees 70 on Monday.
All right.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be warm tomorrow, so that's nice. I think we made it past winter.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. And the eclipse is tomorrow. And apparently Michigan, Ohio, you guys are going to get like somewhat of the totality, or
don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
I got my nerdy glasses from Amazon. My glasses. NASA eclipse glasses.
Well, the first question, Jamie, is okay. You as Jamie, would you have forgiven Holly as quickly as Tate did for all the stuff that she had done?
No. Of course not. Tate's a much more forgiving person than I am. No. Yeah, I don't think so.
No,
you're very kind.
I would have. Yeah, I don't know how I would have navigated that.
You're very kind. I used a different word.
What?
I said it earlier. I said it. Just teenagers.
She kept saying teenagers are dumb.
Yes, they are dumb.
They are. This isn't me being mean. It's just a fact. It's the hormones.
I was a really dumb teenager, hands down. I mean, I'm 20 and I'm still really dumb. So
it's the brain. It's just facts. The brain is not fully developed yet.
No, I think that, and I also think Tate was like so lovesick that I don't even know.
Love blinders, yeah.
Love blind.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have been that blind. I would have been like, you were about to let me rot in jail in a halfway house for protecting you, and you couldn't open your mouth and say the drugs were mine or come up with. I mean, she's a schemer. She's a plotter. Look what she did with Johnny and Chanel. You couldn't come up with something to make sure I got out of jail.
And I've said this before. She schemed and she was bad at it.
Well, no one starts off great. Look at Sammy. Sammy didn't start off great. She eventually grew into it.
What do you mean eventually?
Sammy didn't take long to grow into it, though.
I was gonna say
she was pretty nasty off the bat, though.
Yeah, I mean,
She
like,
wanted
I
to
don't
blame
know.
John and Marlena, but she was always pretty crafty.
Oh yeah, if your mom, Jamie, if your mom ever wants to really go down the Days rabbit hole, she needs to take a good look at Sammy Brady's history.
Yes,
oh my god,
because those are literally the days of everyone's life when it came to Sammy Brady. Debbie wants to know, Jamie, would you ever like to return to Days or another soap opera?
Absolutely, especially Days. I love that set and I love the people. It's a really good crew.
Right.
So, yes.
Susan
Speaking
wants,
of this,
Susan wants to know, how old were you when you decided to be an actor?
I think that I acted a lot when I was a kid, but I don't think I really decided that this is what I wanted to do until I was probably around like 17, 18 and was like auditioning for musical theater programs. I always loved it, and I started in ballet and then did kind of just continued acting throughout high school. But I think that I don't think it's smart to like make a decision like that until you're applying for school. And then when I was applying for school, I was like, yeah, this is definitely something I want to pursue.
And in true mom fashion, your mom says you were scouted when you were 8.
I'm still scattered now. I don't know what she's talking about.
No, you were first scouted as an actor.
Scouted is also applicable to my personality. But yes, I was scouted. Yeah, I guess that's true.
I love that I took a ballet class in college. And I hated it. It was just all bar work. And then eventually for like the last few minutes of class, we went across the floor. But I was like, ooh, get me in tap or like, or like ballroom dance or something. But standing at this bar this whole time and moving these feet.
If you were just standing at the bar, you were doing it wrong.
Well,
I mean, most likely I was. I probably took a nap.
Because you should be in pain on that bar.
Yeah.
Well, I was in pain. I mean, look, I was 6'1" then. A lot of legs to move around and a lot of, grand jetés and going down to the ground. And that was a lot for a tall person like myself.
Yeah. I'm 6'2", and ballet gets harder when you're longer.
Mm-hmm.
The dexterity becomes a challenge.
Yeah,
I will say, I think when I was really young, like when I was doing it in 2nd grade, my teachers were fighting for my attention, I think, a little bit. And then you go to School of American Ballet in New York and everyone's very serious and you kind of drop in. You're like, oh, okay, I got it.
I was like, oh, gotta be serious now. April wants to know, did you keep any souvenirs from set?
Oh my God. Well, like, yes, I have one right here, actually. That's so random that you asked that question. I have this photo. It's a little dusty. That's gross. I have this photo.
Oh, the photo that he literally just looked at that photo like earlier this week.
Oh my God.
I think I asked for a copy of it and they gave me this one.
Oh,
nice.
I'm actually glad I have that right. I have it like on my desk.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
You should have also taken the photo that who had it? Nicole had of Holly. And it was like and it definitely wasn't like a photo that Days took. It was almost like they went to Ashley and was like, "What photos do you have?" Because she was just like she was like giving it in the photo, funny. And I was like,
"You're like, oh, okay."
I was like, "All right, Ashley." I was like, "No, that's not the classic in front of the I don't know what room that is, but the big glass thing.
Yes.
When they take every photo in front of that. So
Guys,
it wasn't that
they
photo.
didn't tell me when that was happening, and I wasn't ready. That photo was everywhere. And I look a little dead in that picture. I'm not gonna lie. It's my fault. I should have been better, but I wasn't ready. They were like, "We're gonna take your photo now," and I was like, "Oh God, okay, all right."
I'm trying. Okay, Cherie
Mhm.
asks, "What is your perfect birthday dinner or cake choice? Any birthday party desserts, cookies, ice cream, and pies count too."
Okay, I'm really glad you said pies count too, because I'm gonna be honest, guys. I really like pie. I think is where it's at.
Okay.
I've never been as much of a cake person as I have a pie person,
Mm.
as I am a pie person. So like apple pie with vanilla ice cream for my birthday is a little weird, but I think that might be what I'm gonna do this year. Now that I think
Awesome.
about it.
That's
You
great.
should. My favorite cake is a strawberry cake with rainbow chip frosting.
Ooh, that sounds really good too.
It's,
I love
it's
carrot
so
cake.
good. Oh, carrot cake is good too.
I don't know if that's controversial or not. I feel like carrot cake is either
It's unique.
I mean, carrot cake is just as controversial as pineapple on pizza.
which I also like.
I mean, both can exist. Both are fine. One last question from our fans. This comes from Me World. Jamie, what advice would you give to Tate?
That's a really good question. Probably, I want to say, like, my first instinct is to be like, leave her. But also, no, like, I think that his care for her, it says so much about the person that he is. So I'd probably be like, leave her and learn how to be kinder to yourself, or like some of that selflessness that you have, and like look in a mirror and realize that in order to help other people, you got to help yourself a little bit too.
Yeah,
that's good advice. Now, one last question. What did you take away from your experience on Days that will move you forward in your acting, singing, dancing career?
So many things. I'm trying to think of what the overarching one was. I guess I think with that experience, developed a sense of confidence in, diving into an experience that I wasn't necessarily like preparing for. I wouldn't say I was ready for it, but I also wasn't, because I had no idea what it was going to be like.
Yeah.
And so I think that because of that experience and because of the speed that I just was thrown into the soap opera pool and had to kind of learn to stay afloat, that just knowing that I did that once, I think that I can carry with me. Yeah. And I also think that just in future, I know personally that if I have some people in the space that I am in who I am comfortable talking about like my life with and have friends, because I had that with Brady, Emily, and Ashley, like going into those future projects, finding people to like really be friends with from the get, so that you kind of can share that experience together. I suppose. So I guess that means like make friends. But yeah, I think that making friends is important, especially when you're on a new project with new people and you're trying to find your way.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you don't know this already, you have definitely made an impact on the show and on the character of Tate. We all say, including fans, say that you did an amazing job. You really brought this iteration of Tate to life. We hadn't seen him since he was young, but to see him, as a young adult, you really took on the role and definitely made an impact. So I hope you walk away from this knowing that you did an amazing job and your talent really shined through on this. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you saying that so much. It means a lot. The fans have been amazing. Every interaction that I've had has been so real, like so supportive and so kind. And I appreciate all the feedback, and I appreciate all the inevitable praise. That's really sweet. And,
Good.
and
Yes.
it helps in my mind. It's a little bit.
Yes, good. Take that, because if you weren't a great character, there'll be some other ways that the fans would say
Again,
about
they're
you.
loud and immediate. Loud
Yes.
and immediate. These people, yeah.
Yes. So, but thank you so much, Jamie, for coming on and chatting with us. And we're so glad that we had a chance to chat with you. We are definitely sad that you are not on the show anymore, but we are very excited for you and excited to see what the future has for you. So
with that head on your shoulders, you'll do great. You're destined for greatness. Yeah, for sure.
Guys.
You'll be swell. You'll be great. Gonna have the whole world on a plate.
Yeah, go watch Cynthia Gibb and Bette Midler and Gypsy.
Yes, she's amazing. Yeah.
Ooh, yes. I'm
Got a Golden Globe. Yeah, nomination.
I'm gonna go watch that now. Your mom says, "Love hearing all of you dishing today. Love you, Jamie."
You better hit the
And we
punt.
love you, Jill, Mom.
God love you, Jill. I love you, Mom.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks again, Jamie.
So much.
Of course, and all the best to you, and keep us up to date with what's happening.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Jamie.
I don't know.
Oh.
I think
hit leave.
All right, should we do it again and it'll be more fluid? Bye,
Okay,
everyone.
Bye, Jamie.
Bye, good luck.
Bye.
Oh, he was great.
What a mature young man.
Yes.
Very, very mature young man. Good head on his shoulders.
He's kind of one I kind of have a hard time believing he would ever be a stupid teenager.
Doesn't sound like one.
Because he does no, not at
Seem to
all.
have his shit together.
No, he's like complete opposite. No, Tate's got a good head on his shoulders. Jill, if you're still in here, you raised a good kid.
Yeah.
Raised a good one, and we wish him well at the University of Michigan.
I gotta say, the Midwest breeds the best.
Yeah,
Case in point.
And the South rounds it out. Well, speaking of rounding out, let's round out our show with what's coming up this week on Peacock's Days of Our Lives.
I have something for you.
Yeah, what's that? Ow.
You stay away from my daughter.
You want to go after someone? You come after me, all right? I'm right
You
here.
wanna fight? You want to fight?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's do it.
You were ID'd as Robert Stein.
Don't you ever call me that again.
To our honeymoon.
To our honeymoon.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So we're watching this week. Big time.
Well, we are going to see what's to come this week. That's it, everyone. That has been Dishin Days, and of course, we will be back next week to serve up a full dish of this coming week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. But in the meantime, you can find us on your favorite social media platforms. Michael Mattis, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter/X at MLMettis.
And Justin Lee Hareld, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And that is it. And Araceli, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And you can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. And you can find all of us at Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, X, and Threads. I just looked down and saw someone say, "Where's Jamie on here?" Jamie been on here for almost a whole hour. Where you been?
Did she mean on Instagram?
I don't know.
I just know someone was in the chat room and kept calling him Taint, and I had to hold my tongue because I saw other people correcting. So
yeah,
good for them.
Well, and speaking of, thank you so much to Jamie Martin Mann for coming on and talking about his time on the show. Again, we wish you all the best at the University of Michigan, and we know that you are going to slay it and kill it, and we can't wait to see what's next for you. And special shout out to his mom Jill for holding it down in the chat room. And of course,
we should do that. Be like, if your mom can join the chat room when you're here, that'd be fabulous for some extra context. And
I think it's just natural. Like when people do the show with us, like a family member show up. Like when Elia Cantu came on, like her sister was on. Or, you know, like there's always a family member that pops up. You know, family got to support family. You know. So that's it from us. Until next week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching our little show called Dishin Days. We'll see you next Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another full dish of Peacock's Days of Our Lives. Be safe, be well, and have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.
Bye. And wear your glasses if you're going to look at the eclipse. Don't go blind.
Please, don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb.